Now we're going to look at solving inequalities, which deal with absolute value. And keyword here is inequalities. We need to make sure we know what inequalities mean. So that means instead of an equal sign, you will see an inequality sign, such as greater than or less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, even not equal to. So inequalities, when we solve those, we always know that our answer is going to be written in interval notation. So that interval notation that we learned about at the start of the semester, that's going to come back into play. So again, inequalities, they just mean these 5 symbols that you would use in place of an equal sign. And the solution to an inequality is a set of numbers. If we're dealing with a set of numbers, we're going to write that solution using interval notation. We have 2 cases for inequalities. So you'll see here when we look at our rules that we're going to use, we have 2 different cases. We have a less than case, and we also have a greater than case. So if we have an absolute value inequality, some expression less than, say, A, we're going to write this in conjunction, meaning we're going to have it written all together. We're going to drop the bars, and essentially on the left side, we draw the same inequality symbol and the opposite number. So you drop the bars and then you put that opposite number with the same inequality symbol on the left. That's called conjunction when they're written together. If we're dealing with a greater than problem, if we have the absolute value of some expression x greater than a number a, then we deal with something which is disjunction. We have the or situation. So that means, we're going to write this, that absolute value expression, that absolute value expression is either greater than x or less than the opposite or less than the negative. And the a value technically can be positive or negative in these situations. So there's no restriction on that a having to be positive, because we could say absolute value of x greater than some negative number. All right. And that would likely be everywhere it's greater than that negative number. But so we say, well, it is greater than the positive or less than the negative. So let's just jump right in and look at 2 really basic examples that will help you understand this. So I've pulled in 2 problems here. We're going to solve each of these very basic absolute value inequalities, and we're going to write the solution using interval notation. So for example, A, we have the absolute value of x is less than 5. Absolute value of x is less than 5. This is a less than situation. What that means for us is I'm going to take that 5, I'm going to write negative 5 less than, and then my expression in the middle, I have just x less than 5. So take a minute, make sure that makes sense. I had less than 5, and essentially I put the opposite and the less than symbol on the other side. So now that you see this like this, it's kind of easy for us to see how this is written in conjunction. You see we have 2 statements here. I'm going to kind of go about this in a much longer manner than you possibly need me to. But essentially what we have is I have negative 5 is less than x, and because it's in conjunction, we have and x is less than 5. Thinking about what that might mean on a number line, here's negative 5 and positive 5. So x is greater than negative 5. So x is greater than negative 5, and x is less than positive 5. So the solution is that overlap. Since x has to be in both statements at the same time and true, we'll say the solution is that x is in the set from negative 5 to positive 5. And you really don't need to draw the number line here. I think it's helpful for us to understand why it is the way it is. So this was -5 is less than x. That's the same as x is greater than -5. Was shaded to the right. And so because it was written in conjunction all together, it was an and statement, and means where do the red and blue overlap? All right, let's look at example B. Here we have x, absolute value of x, is greater than or equal to 7. So the absolute value of x is greater than or equal to 7. So this is a greater than or equal situation. And when we're dealing with greater than, that means we're going to write x is greater than or equal to 7, so greater than the positive, or x is less than or equal to the negative, or the opposite. All right, if we think about what this looks like on a number line, I have -7 and +7. Greater than or equal to 7, that's a bracket, and we go to the right of 7. Less than or equal to -7 is a bracket going to the left. You'll notice there is no overlap here. But keep in mind, this is an or situation. And when we have or, that means it can be the interval on the left or the interval on the right. And we would write that solution using a union symbol. So for example, B here, my solution would be -infinity to -7 included, union, which is or, included 7 to +infinity. Of course, you do not need to write x as an element of the set in your answer. You just need the interval notation. So it says x is any number that belongs in this set, less than or equal to -7 or greater than or equal to +7. All right, so I hope that helps you understand the basic idea. In the following video, we're going to do 3 examples of absolute value inequalities.